What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Money Talks podcast by your host, Tori Richardson, the one and only. Hey, glad you guys are here. Welcome back. I'm so excited today to talk about this podcast, this topic we have on hand today. Today, we're talking all about credit building. Credit building is a great topic. I'm sure you guys will benefit from this episode, so I'm very excited. Let's jump right in. Credit building, episode 6. So, building credit. Building credit can be very tricky, especially if you don't have a credit history. It can be hard to get loans from the banks, or it can be hard to even get a credit card, or even apply for an apartment, or get a housing, get a mortgage for a house, build a house, things, all of the goals that we have that involve credit usually involve large sums of money. So it's very tricky and it can be very difficult. However, it is like a game, and you can win this game if you apply these strategies. So let's jump right in. So my first talking point that I want to speak on today is where your credit falls, the categories that your credit fall into. So credit is basically on a scale. They kind of measure your credit on a scale, and it's like 4 categories you're going to deal with. So you're going to deal with poor credit, which is about 620 and below. And you're going to deal with fair credit. You could have fair credit, which is about 621 to about 699. Then you can have good credit, which is about 700 to 759. And then you'll have excellent credit, which is 760 and above, anything above 760. If you're unsure about your credit, there are ways to see your credit of your report. There are plenty apps out there, like Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, things like that, Credit Karma. But if you really want to see your full credit report, there's a website called annualcreditreport.com, and that's where you can see your full report on it. So there's 3 different credit bureaus. The first one is Experian, the second one is Equifax, and the third one is TransUnion. These credit bureaus are basically just companies, just like any other business, with employees that report and input your data. So it's human error, and it can be incorrect. So they're just like any other company. They can input your data wrong and incorrectly. So that leads me right into my next topic on disputing the errors and the inaccuracies on your credit report. But before I jump into that, I just want to let you know what your credit score is compiled of. So your credit score is compiled of, basically, it reaches a total of 100%. It's going to be 35%. That's the biggest bulk of your credit history, and that's what the biggest factor that determines your credit score. 35% is payment history. 30% is going to be your amounts owed, or in other words, your debts that you have on your credit report. And then 15% is going to be your credit history length, how long you've had your credit. And then 10% is going to be your types of credit, or your credit mix, the different types. So if you have credit cards or student loans or things like that. And then that last 10% is going to go to your new credit that's established. So basically, that's what your credit score is compiled of. That's your factors, and that's how the credit companies usually determine your credit score and where you'll fall. So that just leads me into my second point of disputing the errors on your credit report. It's easy to dispute the errors on your and inaccuracies on your credit report to the corresponding credit bureau, basically by yourself. You really don't have to hire anybody or have anybody do it, because these credit bureaus are basically required by law to report and reinvestigate and modify or remove any inaccurate or incomplete information for free. So if all you have to do is basically type up a letter or write out a letter and mail that letter into the corresponding credit bureau that you're looking to get that dispute taken care of with. So if you want to get that inaccuracy removed or that error removed, all you have to do is mail out that letter to the corresponding company. I have included these companies at the on the bottom in the caption for anybody who wants to check it out, or anybody who wants to do it. I have all the companies that'll be down there for you guys to see. All you have to do is include your name, your social security number, your date of birth, and your current address. And the dispute that you're trying to dispute. If you don't really have that much practice with email etiquette or typing out or writing out letters, I would recommend getting a professional to type or write out your letter for you to be able to make sure that you can accurately get this credit, get any disputes removed that you may have. So basically, yeah, that's just how you can dispute any inaccuracies and errors on your report. But if you want to really build your credit up, the different ways I can give you techniques to build your credit would be to basically get a credit card and become an authorized user on that credit card if you haven't already. Or you can get special personal loans, and if you're paying these loans back on time, it's easy to skyrocket your credit quickly. Or you can also, if you didn't know this, you can have on-time payments with your rent that you're already paying. You can report that to the credit bureaus if you connect your accounts. Or your utility payments, rent or utility payments can both be used to help build your credit score. Or you can grab credit cards. Credit cards are a little more riskier, but they are very helpful in building your credit, and they can, as long as you are making those payments on time and you're sticking with your budget, staying in your budget as far as what you can afford and the limit that you can afford to max out on or increase. But you want to make sure with those credit cards that you're only using 10% of that amount that you've been granted, so that you can continue to utilize the factors that I told you about earlier that goes into your credit score, which is basically your payment history, your credit history length, your credit mix, your debt, and your new credit. You also can have auto loans. So if you have a car loan that's taken out, you can report these auto loans, and some companies automatically report these loan payments to your credit bureau. So it depends on what type of company you went with to get your car or acquire your vehicle. They report these on-time payments to the credit bureau. So it's important to make on-time payments. That's the major factor here, making on-time payments. But if you didn't know, there's also another one, and that's student loans. So if you took out student loans to go to college or any type of schooling, you can report these student loans to your credit bureau, and they can be marked as on-time payments and help build your credit score as well. And these are very beneficial. Most people don't know that they also apply to your credit and building your credit. If you haven't understand now, there are actually plenty of ways to build your credit, and it's just like playing a video game. You just have to learn how to master the game. There are certain strategies that you can input and building your credit. You're supposed to pay. There's one way I can explain to you is paying your credit down about 80% 2 days before, and then paying off the whole amount on your due date. And if you're constantly redoing that and recycling that habit, it's easy to skyrocket your credit and build it up quickly if that's the goal that you're looking for. For the people with poor credit, or if you have a goal in mind, you're trying to buy a house, or if you have any other goals in mind that involve credit, this is a great way to build your credit. There's also great apps that I want to recommend to you to help build your credit, that if you may have poor credit, or if you may have trouble acquiring a loan or things like that on the higher side, you can go utilize these apps right on the App Store if you download them. And these are apps that I've used personally that have helped me out in the past tremendously. A couple apps are Self Credit Building, Kickoff is another app, Dovely is another app, another great app. Credit Sesame, that's another great app. These 4 apps are very beneficial and highly influential on your credit score and building your credit. So if you utilize these apps correctly and you pay your payments on time and you pay them back on time, they'll definitely influence your credit. Another bank account that's an online banking is Chime. Chime has a self-secured credit card where it also reports to the credit bureaus, and it helps build your credit quickly. So I've used these 5 things in the past, and these 5 tricks have helped me build my credit up to the score of my liking, and I want to share that with you guys so you guys are able to understand and have a better understanding. So overall, credit building it can be very tricky, but it also can be very simple. It depends on how you do it. It's all about utilizing it. And there are hard inquiries and soft inquiries on your credit report. Those inquiries fall off at a certain amount of time, and some inquiries, they can be removed if you just send the letters. Most people don't send the letters out, and simply by sending those letters out, those inquiries can be removed very quickly. Very quickly. Soft inquiries don't go on your report. They don't affect anything, but those hard inquiries do. But you can also get them removed, and they also can fall off after a certain amount of time. And also, what I want to make sure that you guys understand is, with your credit score and your credit report, you always want to make sure that you're not getting yourself into more debt. So you're not taking on more debt that you can handle. You know, if your debt is more than your income, your debt to income ratio that I spoke on in a previous episode, you're really affecting yourself in a negative way, and that's not what you want to do. You're kind of setting yourself backwards as far as building credit. So building credit can be easy, but you also can dig yourself into a hole that can be very hard to dig out of if you don't pay attention to how you're doing it and how you're building your credit. I hope you guys really took information from this today and really got a better understanding of credit building. I saw the time I have on this episode. I'm very excited. Hopefully you guys can utilize this information and really benefit from these tips and strategies that I've given to you to help build your credit up and get to the score of your liking so that you can do the things that you want in life. You know, I'm very thankful for you guys tuning in. I'm glad you guys tuned in. I hope you guys tune in next week for episode 7. It's going to be a great one. You're not going to want to miss it. Thank you all. God bless you all. Money Talks. Tori, I'm your host, and I'm out. Thank you.